NFC North champion Detroit Lions. With insight from Detroit sports media legend Terry Foster and rising star Matt Broder. Get ready, Detroit. It's now time for Woodward and Maine.
Go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Woodward and Maine show, and young Matt Broder is just all pumped up today.
It's been like 3 weeks. It's been like a month since the Lions have played, it feels like.
Well, it was 10 days.
Yeah, but it feels a little bit longer. I'm jacked up, Terry.
I know you get a little excited.
I'm very
Good for
excited.
you.
I'm excited. Okay. I'm good.
All right. I'm going to, before we open the show, I want to talk about my little party I went to last night. Christmas party.
Okay.
My wife is in some group called Carousel. No, it's called Carousel.
Okay.
And I'm a Carousel because I'm married to. So anyway, it almost turned into a Lions party. And what happened was we were exchanging gifts, and so you got a ticket. And so when your ticket number was called, you would go up and pick up a gift under the Christmas tree.
Okay.
So when it was my turn, I picked up my little bag, and there was a Detroit Lions hat in there.
Let's go.
And Detroit Lion coasters. So I foolishly, you're supposed to hold up your gift.
Oh.
Because then the person next to you or after you can steal your gift or go to the tree and pick up something.
So the person with the next number who gets to go
Right.
sees yours and has to decide
Right.
before they pick their
So,
gift. I could steal yours?
I didn't. Yes, you can
Okay.
steal. I didn't want to give mine up, so I already pulled the hat out, so they knew it was Lion stuff. So I put it on my head and said I had ringworm. So I figured,
Trying to keep them away.
Right. Well, that didn't work.
No.
I had the hat for I'd say 30 seconds. So anyway, my gift that I contributed was Detroit Lions whiskey. It's called Grit.
Okay.
And so the guy knew everybody was excited about the Lions hat, which, by the way, passed 4 different times to 4 different people. So he picked up the bottle of Grit, didn't take it out the bag, saw it, and just dropped it back in there.
Stealth mode.
And
He's
then-
not showing that for people to
No.
steal.
So he got to keep his whiskey.
Got it.
But he knew that thing would have gone quickly.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about the party, but are those like collector items, the whiskey? I feel like you keep seeing these things
that's
pop
what
up.
that's what they put on the label.
Got it.
Collectors. They have Lions whiskey, Lions gin, Lions wine, and then 1800 has a Lions label too.
I like that.
So as far as the Lions whiskey, I talked to a guy who supposes is an expert. He says, "Well, it's not great, but it's not bad." And so you won't be disappointed. But people basically are paying for the label.
Got you. Are you drinking? I'm assuming you had to pick up a bottle for yourself, right?
I picked up a bottle for myself. And here's the other thing. I went to the whiskey store that I go to. When I went there to get my bottle, there was probably about 100 and something bottles left. And then a friend of mine wanted a bottle too. So I went to get a second bottle the next day.
Yeah.
There were 6 bottles left.
Popular.
Right.
So that Lions logo is
It's selling.
it's helping out business all over town.
Oh, it is. No question.
I'd love to hear that. But are you if you got a bottle for yourself, is that something you're drinking now during the season? Are you ever drinking it, or maybe with a Super Bowl victory?
No, I'm keeping the bottle. I'm not going to drink it.
Really?
Right.
Just let
But
it last.
my brother-in-law, the DK Broiler, comes over, and he just looks at my whiskey collection and decides what he's going to drink.
You need some label, a sticky note on there says "Do not drink." If DK's
Well,
the DK Broiler,
I don't want to be like that.
well then you got to hide it. You can't put it in your collection for the public to see.
Well, I do.
All right,
I want people to see it.
You're playing roulette with it. Someone's gonna. I would open that up. I mean, if I were your brother, I'm not coming over to T.
Oh, you just come over to my house and open up my bottle of whiskey.
I wouldn't because.
Well, you just said you would.
I know. I misspoke. If I was your brother, I would.
Okay.
Okay. So it turned into a Lions party. This holiday party turned into a Lions party.
But it was just a Lions friends. It wasn't even a great hat either. It was just a hat that said Lions on it, and the lion was kind of sad. But everybody wanted that hat.
People are showing up for the Lions in every which way.
Right.
We got a big game today.
It is. You know what? It is a big game, but you know what? Today's game, Detroit Lions against the Buffalo Football Bills, is the least important game of the rest of the season.
Really?
Yes.
For the Lions?
Yes, for the Detroit Lions.
I'm going to need you to
But
explain this one.
it's going to be the most anticipated game and the most watched game.
That's for damn sure.
The reason it's the least important is because it's not an NFC game. If the Lions finish tied with Minnesota or Philadelphia, they could lose the number 1 seed if they lose to an NFC team.
Yeah.
But if they lose to the Buffalo Bills and they tie with these other teams, they still will keep the tiebreaker.
Fair.
Probably, if they win the rest of their games.
But you don't think this is an important game in terms of two possible Super Bowl contenders? It's a 425 game.
Well,
it's not more than the MVP race, the
Okay.
Coach of the Year race, like any of this stuff?
Well, important, no.
Okay.
But as far as flashy and sexy and boy, I gotta watch it. Yes,
Yeah. Josh Allen's coming to
Right.
town.
right.
He's had a good year.
You want to see Josh Allen. You want to see the Bills out of the snow.
Yeah.
By the way, they couldn't practice all week.
Because of the weather.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
they were banged up. The Bills are kind of banged up.
Yeah, they just got banged up like the last minute.
Lions somehow, I don't want to say the Lions are healthy because that's really underscoring their roster right now. There's still like a gazillion guys on the injured reserve and questionable for today, but the Lions are getting healthy all of a sudden. At least a little bit. Decker's back. Some of the defensive linemen are back. That extra 3 days, that little mini bye after the Packers game, coming to the Lions at a good time.
Well, yes. Now I'm going to miss the dominance of Dan Skipper.
Skipper is great. He was great in pass protection. He was fine in the run game. Last week wasn't the best showing from the run
but he
game.
won me over when after the game he's throwing up in the garbage
Yeah,
can.
who doesn't love Skipper?
That means you're giving everything you got.
Yes.
And your body's like, hey, dude, really?
Right.
You just did that?
Right. Skipper deserves all the love. Like
Right.
he filled an admirable. He proved I'm a starter in the NFL. I can step in for a game or two and hold down the fort.
All right, that is true. But, young man, I want to
Yes.
educate you. What does Dan Campbell and Steph Curry have in common?
I don't know.
They both changed how we viewed a game. Steph Curry, because of his three-point shooting, all the kids are shooting three-pointers now, and the game has changed. When you look at the NBA, people don't like the NBA. Say, oh, God, all they're doing is shooting three-pointers. Dan Campbell is changing the NFL from this standpoint. Now, more and more coaches are going for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
More and more coaches are gambling. This league isn't as conservative as it used to be.
No.
Dudes are just like, hey, if you kick a field goal, you're going to lose. So
Yeah.
you may as well go for it. So that's the Dan Campbell mentality, and it's working right now.
Yeah.
I think on his 4th and 1 or 4th down rate, he's at 72%.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen overnight either. It's not just you build a roster and you start going for it on fourth down. Like, to be successful on fourth down requires your team to believe in you, believe in the situation, believe in that strategy just as a general strategy, which it is for Dan Campbell. Like,
Right.
he's implemented that as, hey, 4th and 3 and under, we're going for it. Like,
Right.
prepare yourself. Ben Johnson, call plays like you got 4 plays to call, not 3 and a punt.
Right. This changes the we talk about culture.
Yes.
The Lions culture. The Lions culture has changed. So not only must Dan Campbell believe in his players, the players must believe in Dan Campbell. They must believe in the system.
Yeah.
There's got to be a buy-in. Because now players expect to go. They're like,
Yeah.
4th and 3? Okay, what's the call?
Yeah. Which way are we running the ball?
Now, did you see, Jared Goff denied this, but Jared Goff got Dan Campbell to change his mind on that 4th and 1 play
I believe it.
at the end of the game.
That's part of it.
Because Dan Campbell was like, I don't know if we should do this. And then Jared Goff had a little sad puppy dog look on his face, and he's like, oh, we're not going for it? And then Dan Campbell said, F it, we're going for it.
Yeah. He trusts his players. His players trust him. And when
Right.
they want to at the end of the game, hey, Don't worry about giving the ball back to him, coach.
Right. So now the rest of the league is changing. Now, we made fun of Dan Campbell. Oh, Dan Campbell, he does it too many times. The hell is wrong with him? He's a oaf, a ooger, he's whatever. Mm-hmm. And now the rest of the league who criticized him was like, yeah, he's a knucklehead, but I'm going to do it too.
Yeah. We saw Sean McVay do it a couple times last week.
Right.
Or Thursday. Mm-hmm. They played Thursday. Yeah, like a couple days ago. Sean McVay punts the ball. The traditional he's a great offensive mind. He punts the ball on 4th down. He's going for it. Other teams are going for it. And it's not, Terry, just the 4th down conversions. It's the innovative plays, too. You say he's bringing innovation to this game. We see teams try to copy the Lions playbook. We saw it last year with the 49ers run their, was it the triple reverse or they ran the play to Kittle, the flea flicker. People are trying to emulate what the Lions are doing. Mm-hmm. Lions may have but took a little playbook from Andy Reid and the Chiefs, just in terms of, hey, the players need to have fun too. Like, we need to not only incorporate this stuff into the offense.
Bill Parcells,
the tree Dan Campbell grew on.
Right, he grew up on that tree.
Sean Payton,
and that was like, they gambled a little bit.
They did, and it's ironic, might not be the right word, but Parcells too was a traditional hard-nosed coach.
Right.
You know, that's who Dan Campbell is too. It took him. He didn't just start being this outrageously aggressive coach. Like, he studied, he prepared, he knows the analytics, and then he combines that with his emotional intelligence and awareness of the game to, all right, I got the team, I got the right guys to do it. In 2021, they were doing it because they had to. They just needed the ball as much as possible.
Okay, I see you trying to be analytical this morning.
Yeah, I'm
gonna boil it down to you. Both Parcells and Dan Campbell have an edge to them.
Yes.
But somehow Dan Campbell's not a dick. He's not.
No.
He's this
Parcells
good guy. He's got great personality. Parcells was rough. He was hard to deal with. In fact, Bill Parcells, and a lot of people don't know, Bill Parcells offered to come and coach the Lions. And the Lions said, nah, that's okay. And the reason was Bill Parcells was going to change everything. He's going to kick people out. He was going to be this bull in the china shop, and the Lions didn't want to deal with that.
So let Matt Patricia do it. Yep. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So, well, they were trying to chase. Once again, the Lions always chased. Now people were chasing the Lions. For instance, the Lions were chasing. They wanted the Patriot way to come here. They thought that would work.
The Patriot way. Browns wanted that
back
too.
Back in the day, have you heard of the West Coast offense?
I did.
Okay.
Mariucci?
Yeah, short passing. Well, the Lions tried to bring the West Coast offense after defenses have already figured it out. And this was when Wayne Fontes was the coach. And he jokingly called it the Great Lakes offense, and it didn't work. It would either not work, or they said they scored too quickly, and it didn't give the defense enough time to rest.
Or they didn't have the personnel, but there never was enough. They figured it out. They were late to the game. They were the followers, the chasers, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Now, for the first time, the Lions are like, oh, y'all chasing us? Mm-hmm. Okay. Eat my dust.
Yeah. That's what it's becoming. Mm-hmm. With Dan Campbell at the charge. And I want to ask you a question about Dan Campbell and where he might rank for you in the Coach of the Year odds, where you think he should finish as of right now. But let's introduce the show. Let's welcome everyone. We just went off for about 15 minutes there, Terry. I liked it. I loved it.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Baby. Right.
Let's welcome everybody. Chat, I see you guys in here. You're on fire right now. We got how many people in here? Almost 500. 430 right now. Thanks for being here. This is Woodward in Maine. I'm your co-host, Matt Broder, with Terry Foster.
What up?
A legend in Detroit sports media. We're joined also by Mr. Pete Spivak.
Good morning, boys.
In the TD booth.
How are you, boys, gentlemen? Good morning.
Doing fantastic, Pete. Jay Cruz and Phil, Silent Service, ARF, Dirty Dr. D, Eric Burrow, A-Diz. We got a crew in the chat. Thank you all for being here. We're also live on X.
I was about to say hello to 489 people on X.
489 people on X? We're on Facebook?
Yes, we're on Facebook.
Hello to everybody on Facebook.
All
Terry,
right.
we're all over the internet.
Bam.
YouTube, WoodwardSports.com. This is the show that kicks off Lions game day.
Right.
I'm excited to be here, Terry.
I'm excited here too. It's fun. Mm-hmm. I like to see your enthusiasm.
It's here every day, every Sunday and Monday, every Lions game day and post game day.
Right.
We here.
We here. We're here to break it down, but we don't really break the game down because that's boring.
Yeah, that's for the pregame show with Neil and Sean,
yes,
right?
We hit issues.
Yeah. I getting your perspective on some of these things, it's huge. And you even were talking to me off mic before, like some people have been approaching you lately, like, Terry, you've changed your tune. Like,
yeah. You changed your tune on the Lions. And I'm like, duh. Why did you change your tune? I said, they're 12-1. Before, you guys always wanted me to get excited about a team that's going to finish 8-8 or finish last in division 3 years in a row. When the Lions finished 0-16, they were 4-0 in the preseason. And I kept running to these knuckleheads. T, what do you think we're going to do this year? I said, they're going to suck. They're not good. He said, oh, did you see what happened in the preseason? I said, dude, it's the preseason. It's not a good team. And in fact, the last preseason game that year was in Buffalo. And I talked to Corey Redding, who's no longer with us now. He went to Seattle, and I think he's retired. But I said, if people watch the Lions tape, what would they see? And he said they'd see us leaping off the tape.
Oh, 4-0.
Leaping off the video because they finished 4-0 in the preseason. But
Delulu.
It was pretty obvious that team was not good.
Yeah.
Once the lights turned on.
Yeah. James Houston leapt off the tape. The
Sure.
film.
He's no longer with us.
One of the rare late round picks that hasn't panned out. That didn't pan out. It's officially over.
But you know what? He would have panned out under the old Lions regime.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's not good enough because the talent has improved.
It has.
He would have been a starter. He would have been fine, and the Lions would be losing.
Yeah. But he's not good enough for this team.
Right, because this team improves. And the other thing is, the most amazing thing to me for this team is they can plug and play just about anybody, and they contribute.
It's as if, like, coaching matters. It's as if, like, talent identification matters in this league.
Matters.
Right.
Weird.
Schematics, belief. But I think the thing that drives the Detroit Lions more than anything is motivation, stimulation, and the belief you can do anything you want.
Where's that belief come from?
That's the Dan Campbell thing. Well, no. You know what I'm going to say? Sheila Hamp. Because Sheila Hamp, that's what she wanted.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to produce it. She didn't know anybody who knew how to produce it. So she got Dan Campbell, who's the face of motivation now. But Sheila Hamp, this is what she talked privately with her people. This is what she wanted.
Yeah.
But she didn't know how to do that. So she found someone who did.
Yeah. I don't know if studied's the right word, but spent a lot of time getting to know the what Sheila Hamp has done to get to where she is, the decisions she's had to make, some tough decisions, taking over for her family, changing her last name, and then realizing I got to put people around me that know football. Let me handle it. Let me hire Chris Spielman officially to run this thing.
You know what the most important thing she did?
What?
I'm out. Don't bother me. I put y'all in place. I'm not going to make decisions. I'm not going to I'm not going to troubleshoot. I'm not going to, look over your shoulder and say, don't do this. So she put the right people in place and then got the hell out the way.
Yeah. That's what smart people do. Smart businessmen and women, smart coaches. Dan Campbell is doing that. Acting like that, it's contagious. When you see the people at the very top being unselfish like that, not being arrogant like they know. We talk about the Patriot way, and that man who showed up in Detroit, very short-lived, Matt Patricia, he tried to do everything himself. I'm the smartest guy in the room. We're going to fire everybody, bring in my people. It's taken years for the Lions to recover from some of his idiotic just employee decisions.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was listening to Bill Belichick, and Matt Patricia is the reason that the Lions are so good now.
Yeah, did you know that he drafted Frank Ragnow and he's responsible for this offensive line success?
Sure. Bam.
You know?
Amazing.
It's idiotic. It does go to Dan Campbell. Before I ask you about that, check out this comment, Terry, from Drew Sy in the chat. He said, I just found out that while my sons and I were in Japan during the preseason, their mother got tickets for her and me to go to the final game of the season, Week 18 versus the Vikings. I'm so pumped up, he said. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's pretty
enjoy
cool. And it's turning out could end up being a huge game.
It could be a huge game, or it could be a game.
We want it to be a game. I'm not worried if it is a huge game that they'll go in and take care of business, but going into Week 18 with that number 1 seed locked up, that's necessary.
You know what? I don't know what's wrong with me sometimes, but when I look at the Vikings are 1 game behind, right? When I look at the Vikings, the Packers, the Eagles, the Vikings are the least of my worries. I don't worry about them as much as those other teams. I think I'd rather have the Lions, if they make the NFC Championship game, I'd rather have them play the Vikings than the Green Bay Packers. I think they got a better shot, even though Green Bay's record isn't as good. It's going to be tough beating that team 3 times in a row. They had the I think there's a little bit more edge between the Lions and the Packers than there is between the Vikings and the Lions. That they might just say, man, we want to spoil these clowns' season.
Yeah.
And you had Matt LaFleur getting into it with the Lions fan.
LaFleur. Oh, let me ask you about that actually real quick. How do you feel about that situation? Like, we hear a lot about Matt LaFleur. He's the one who's been a bitch this week, and you know, he let the fan get to him. Do you view it like that? He
is a bitch, but he's right. He's right. When you're a coach and before a game, don't approach an NFL coach before a game because they're all wound up. Yeah. They got a million things rolling around their head. They're about to explode. And then you see some clown in a Lions jersey chirping at you, you get pissed.
But what could he say to make Matt LaFleur clap back at him like he did? And I'm not defending the guy yet, but like there does need to be a level of like, okay, fans are going to talk. Is it because he was on the field?
He was on the field. Fans should be in the stands. Players and coaches should be on the field. Shouldn't mix.
I'm with that.
So he was out there for the flag ceremony. You know what? They needed extra security. I'm glad he's being banned too. Yeah, you got to learn a lesson.
They took his season tickets away.
Right, took his season tickets away. You just shouldn't mix with, especially in the NFL, because that sideline is so wound up. I mean, you have to. The first thing teams do before they go on the field is they're already jacked up and they jack them up even more.
Why feed it?
Yeah, don't feed it. That's why I've been told we see a lot of fights between teammates during the NFL game.
Yeah.
I've been told by a number of players, don't pay attention to that. There's probably 6 to 8 heated exchanges on the sideline between players and coaches and players that you don't see.
Yeah.
But the cameras catch one and they say, oh, my God, this team is imploding. But the fact is, it is so electrically charged that you're going to explode.
Yeah.
And that's why when Matt LaFleur
the
sees a Lions fan acting like a jackass, that's why he's so pissed off. And I don't blame him because he's in a different stratosphere.
There's some people in the chat who do disagree with you. Paul Thomas. I certainly do not agree with T. Foss. It was one incident. You don't just censor people. Xavier D says, nope, Terry, one guy is getting paid millions of dollars to coach a team. The other guy is just holding a flag. What do you have to say?
Well, he's not just holding the flag. He's in the coach's face. If he was just holding the flag, his ass wouldn't have gotten booted out. Don't interact with opposing players or coaches. Don't be on the field with them. Look what happened at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
The malice at the Palace.
Malice at the Palace. The rule was broken.
Yeah.
Players went into the stands. Fans got on the court. And what happened? All hell broke loose. So there is this invisible line. Don't cross it.
Yeah. I guess if they allow you access, this is where you stand. If they allow you access to the field to do something as special as holding the flag, just do your job and keep your mouth shut.
You know what? I hate hearing well, he's just a fan and everything. Be professional. We always teach our kids to be good citizens. We teach our kids how to act. We do the same thing. The way life is set up, we try to act the right way in life until we get on a football field and then we act like jackasses. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse you act like a child. And yes, Matt LaFleur is paid millions of dollars, but Matt LaFleur is also in that NFL mindset prior to a game, and they're just like crush, kill, destroy.
Yeah. And no fan's ever going to say anything to Dan Campbell. Just look at him and fan will quiet up. I'm going to fence it a little bit. I think both were wrong. Like Matt LaFleur's got to keep it together. Also the fan hold the flag and go into the stands and rip on the Packers or LaFleur. Phil in the chat says, and I think I want you to clarify. It says, so folks in center field stands can't harass the center fielder. That's not what you're saying, right?
Okay, here, I'm going to say this very slow. For the slow people out there, here is what Terry is saying. Fans should stay in the stands. Players should stay on the field. You can say whatever the hell you want from center field because you're in the stands. But you cannot walk out on the field and get in somebody's face. Did I say that clearly enough for these slow people out there?
Roger.
Okay.
Over and out. I hear you.
Right.
I hear you. That was clear enough for me. There are some people on your side, too. Zachary Kamaj, the flag holders were all told to not engage with any player or coach on either side. Xavier D followed up, says that they should have just suspended the fan for the rest of the season. Taking his tickets away was stupid.
Well, you know what?
But you know what? You're sending a message to everybody else. Don't do it again.
Right. You're the poster child. Crazy Clown follows up. Hey, Uncle Terry, can Terrion get his fingers back yet? Gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Terrion
is not as handsy as he was before, is
No.
he? You know why? Because now he's getting respect from the refs.
Weird. It took half a season, but
you got to punish rookies. You got to say, look,
100%.
Rook, you can't do this.
Hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL.
Right. But the thing that Terrion did that was ahead of the curve for most rookies, he was next to those receivers where he could put his little claws on them.
Yeah.
Or his little mitts. Most rookie receivers are like, oh, shoot, he's like 5 yards away and caught the ball. Let me go blast his ass.
Right.
Terrion is right there. That's why I think we're seeing the beginning of greatness here.
I think so, too.
Not goodness, but greatness.
I'm totally on board with that. The secondary has played phenomenal, has held down the fort with injuries on the defensive line, the linebacker crew. Even the secondary has stepped up when their top four cornerbacks are out in a game. Their safeties are out. The team's getting healthy. Defensive line, there are some players who are returning. But I got to hit at the – before we move on, I need to talk about Dan Campbell more because you heard some comments from some – you said clowns on national broadcast.
They weren't actually clowns, but I called them clowns.
You called them clowns. And it revolved around the NFL Coach of the Year debate where Dan Campbell, some think of as a front runner, some think of as in the mix still. The Lions are 12-1, but there are 6 or 7 other candidates that are being considered.
There are. And here's my first. Let me give you my take.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't think Dan Campbell can win Coach of the Year unless he finishes 15-2 or 16-1, because it's a flawed process. It's not for the best coach that year. Usually, Coach of the Year goes to the guy whose team improves the most that year. I mean, you could go if you go from 3 wins to 8 wins. Hey, damn it, Coach of the Year. Dan Campbell won 12 games last year. Mm-hmm. Now, if he wins 13 or 14 this year, that's not that much of an improvement. So he won't get Coach of the Year. But if he goes 16-1, 15-2, you got to give it to him.
You have to.
Because he's made dramatic improvement, and he's also, got a crippled team through a season. It's 15-2 or 16-1. Now, let me talk about the clown.
Get
and
him.
I don't know how this guy
Get
gets
him.
on NFL Network.
Get him, Terry.
This clown was on there. Hey, everybody, Dan Campbell can't win Coach of the Year. And I said, why? Because he's got a loaded lineup.
That's such
So
trash.
they're supposed to. I'm like, okay. The clown didn't mention the 15,412 injuries on defense, and not just injuries, but kept them out of the lineup. Didn't mention lost Aiden Hutchinson, which at that time we thought, oh, shoot, that's it.
Can the
It's gonna
Lions
be-
recover at all?
It's going to be devastating. How they going to? They haven't lost since then. No. Then they lose Reeder, McNeil,
Anzalone.
Anzalone,
Rodrigo. Jalen Reeves-Maybin.
Right.
We already, before that, Kaminsky, Davenport, Derek Barnes. We're talking starters. A team that can this defense before the season, can they be a top 15 defense? Top
Taylor
12?
Decker.
Some of us were optimistic, but
Well,
those starters are the ones that
Dude,
miss
with
time.
all these starters out, I was kind of wondering, could they be top 30?
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's not an unreasonable thought.
And that may not be a totally Dan Campbell thing. You got to give Aaron Glenn some credit, but he's under the Campbell umbrella. And if Campbell does win Coach of the Year, he will thank his assistants. He will thank his players because he knows not all about him. It's just not.
What hurts me about anybody saying that, but especially someone on a national broadcast on the NFL Network.
No, it's a highly respected broadcast. It's not just any national broadcast.
Why are they not watching the game? Like these people, whoever this was, Nick Wright is another one. It's clear they don't watch the games. They don't know this team. They don't know what Dan Campbell has done to impact this team this year, but also over the last couple of years. Like they were forgetting these narratives that people pumped into our ears when Dan Campbell joined, that he's this meathead, that, biting the kneecaps and stuff.
You know what? You don't even have to watch the games to understand what's going on here. All you have to do is read the press notes, the NFL notes,
Records.
stuff like that, stuff that's happening. You don't have to watch the games to understand that this is something special going on.
It's special. And that's special because of Dan Campbell. You say this team is stacked. That's his reason that Dan Campbell can't win Coach of the Year.
Correct.
I argue that this team is stacked because of Dan Campbell.
Brad Holmes.
Yeah, well, yes, Brad Holmes too, but
Right.
there is coaching and development needed for these players that they've acquired or drafted. Yes, the roster is built out and they are stacked. I'm not denying that. But we're doing this with a quarterback who was given up on. A team gave up on him and shipped him to Detroit, exiled him here.
You know what? We praise Sean McVay. Genius. Quarterback whisperer. He lost Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Right.
So Jared Goff comes here, and we're like, bridge quarterback. He's got a noodle arm. He'll be here for a couple years, and then the Lions will move on.
Yeah.
Now he's in the MVP conversation.
Exactly.
Why? Part of it is because he's with people who believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he gets all swolled up, and it's like, yeah, I'm a good quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then he's got weapons. He's got offensive line. And when push comes to shove, Lions only have to throw the ball in big situations.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I think it was Minnesota at the goal line. 3rd and 8. Obvious passing situation. You know what the Lions did?
What?
They did a counter tray to Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Touchdown.
So Montgomery, the player that a rival team gave up on.
Yes.
And you decide, we'll take you. We'll not ship out.
I'm not going to say the Bears gave up on him.
They gave up on him.
They didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, we did. And we said, hey, so long, franchise leader in rushing touchdowns in a year. Sorry about it.
Mm-hmm. But in this league, a lot of people don't pay running backs.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
And what did Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes do? We're going to bring in a new running back, and we're going to draft one at number 12. Sorry, DeAndre Swift.
Right.
Everyone got clowned for that.
And the Lions didn't want to pay Swift. And here's another thing. Guess who else the Lions did not want to pay?
Who?
Barry Sanders.
Who?
They didn't want to pay him either.
Who?
You ever heard Barry Sanders?
Greatest running back of all time.
Right.
Yeah. A stacked offense, Terry. You mean your best offensive weapon is a 4th-round wide receiver?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You mean you decided to take a right tackle when you already had a left tackle. You decided to take a tackle in the draft over Jamar Chase, over Micah Parsons. Jahmyr Gibbs, we talked about him being clowned on. Jack Campbell, a linebacker picked at 18, clowned. Tight end in the 2nd round, clowned. Brian Branch, Defensive Player of the Year nominee, late in the 2nd round. They get clowned for they're stacked because of their coaching, because of Lee McNeil, because of John Kaminsky, because of these guys that Dan Campbell has coached. And it's not just Dan Campbell. He gets the credit though because he put the people around him too, like Sheila Hamp. It's why 2 of the most wanted coordinators in the league decided, no, we're going to stay for another year. Ben Johnson wants to learn how to lead under Dan Campbell, and he has a brilliant offensive mind. Mm-hmm. He has the balls to fire his friends, to move on from Aubrey Pleasant and Dre Bly and position coaches and coordinators that are at the top of the NFL. They want to come to Detroit. Terrell Williams, Deshae Townsend, Jim O'Neil. Like, the list goes on. People want to come here because of Dan Campbell. They're 12-1. If they go 15-2, he is the coach of the year front runner, which he should be right now.
Right. And I'm going to make a little prediction.
Let's go.
Because a lot of people think the only reason Jared Goff is good is because of Ben Johnson.
Such trash.
The Lions are going to promote someone from within to be offensive coordinator, and Jared Goff is not going to fall off.
No.
Because the system is in place, the belief is in place, the offensive line is in place. What's they called? Knuckles and
Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, Sonic and Knuckles is still there. Amon-Ra St. Brown is still there. The guy that's always open. There's some people in the NFL who are open even when they're not open. St. Brown is one of those guys. Calvin Johnson was a guy like that. CeeDee Lamb probably fits that category. But the great thing about St. Brown, he's a little guy. He's a little fella.
It's tough as shit, though.
Yeah, you would think you got to be 6'4". You just throw the ball high and he high points it. He's not, man. He's like a regular looking dude. Mm-hmm. But he's always open. He's got his little funky little routes he likes. He's going this way. Nope, he's going that way. He does a little spin move. He runs very precise routes.
He's always open.
So he's always open. I mean, 3rd and 7, the defense knows you're going to St. Brown. Mm-hmm. St. Brown knows the ball is going to him. Everybody in the crowd knows the ball is going to him. And guess what? He's open.
He's open. And the quarterback finds him.
Yeah, do you think they forgot to guard the guy? No. Because he runs these precise routes. And the other thing that, once again, I'm trying to get people to pick up on, this is a very smart football team.
Yeah.
They got some smart dudes out there.
They do. And we can't move on from St. Brown because he's part of this all. But it tells a bigger picture, and it also goes back to Dan Campbell. Like, St. Brown said he might not have a catch-all game. He might have one catch for 5 yards going into the 4th quarter. But they trust that St. Brown, he's not only running his routes 110%, or we'll say 202%. He's blocking downfield. He's doing everything so it could disguise the defense where they think he's blocking. Now he goes up. He does everything the right way. And we look at another contender for the Coach of the Year award in Nick Sirianni with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a huge difference between the team under Nick Sirianni and the team under Dan Campbell. They're one game behind the Lions, and what has the NFL world been talking about all week?
They're bitching at each other.
Yeah. They're winning games. And
Right.
A.J. Brown is talking about how horrible their passing offense is. And that's a leader of their team who can't get along with their quarterback.
I've seen a bunch of wide receivers after wins. Their head is all down. They're pissed off. I didn't get my touches. But y'all just won 28-14. I didn't get my touches. So then that becomes a problem. St. Brown, what does he have? One game he had 3 touches for like 8 yards or something.
Yeah.
He didn't bitch.
No biggie.
He said we won.
You got the camera on him at the end of the game. He's in the mix with everybody, smile on his face. We got the dub. All he cares about. Sure, he wants to have 10 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown, but he doesn't really care about that.
Right, and you could tell that because he's blocking his ass off.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you watch the little tape, sometimes they do what I call the Olay block, where it's like, I don't feel like blocking you.
Yeah.
The hell.
Yeah.
That's because he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's not getting his touches.
Shit spreads down the roster, down the depth chart like wildfire. That's why you see these guys come in. They need the coaching. Brad Holmes and Campbell, they get guys and put them in the right spots. But when you see the people at the top buying in, like Dan Campbell saw Sheila, you come onto this roster, you see Amon-Ra St. Brown blocking downfield, you see him catching 202 balls. Even if you're on the defensive end, even if you just got plucked off LinkedIn, whoever these guys are on defense, you see what's happening, you buy in, or else you're out. They don't have time for that stuff. We're going to learn a lot about Nick Sirianni today, and I want to connect this to Dan Campbell because he's so aware of what's going on with his team, whether it's the awards, Jared Goff for MVP, getting St. Brown touches or whatnot. We're going to learn a lot about Sirianni because all week this team, they've been bitching. A.J. Brown has been bitching about catching the ball, getting the ball. This is a game that they need to go to Saquon. They're playing the Steelers. Saquon right now might be the MVP front runner. Sirianni should want to get him an epic game. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he should be calling a game so Saquon has 150 yards and a couple touchdowns against the Steelers,
But then
one of the
A.J.
best
Brown's
defenses.
going to be mad again. So then what do you do?
Exactly. Are we worried about any of that here in Detroit?
Well, that's why I worry about the Lions. If it's NFC Championship game, we're going ahead. I worry more about the Lions playing Green Bay than Philadelphia. The Lions are not going to lose to a team that's fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Because they're so cohesive. But they could lose to Green Bay.
It's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row in a season.
And Green Bay is good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Just
Dan Campbell's in LaFleur's head. LaFleur was at the top of that coaching.
This could be another Ryan Day thing. It could be developing.
It totally could. This game, I don't know about you. Do you think this is going to be a blowout? Do you think this
No,
game?
absolutely not. People who predict a blowout are nuts.
I've been hearing that a lot lately as I've been.
Well, this is not Jacksonville.
Right.
This is not a bad team. Buffalo's not coming here to get blown out.
They're good. They did.
In fact, they're coming here to scare the shit out of the Lions. I don't think they're gonna beat them, but they're here to scare the shit out of them.
They've clinched a playoff berth. They've clinched first place in their division. That's the only way. That's the only mindset they can have coming into this game. They've taken care of everything. They're a little beat up. They now want to send a message. Messages don't really get sent against the Lions. They don't let that happen.
Here.
And I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout,
No,
Terry.
I don't think messages are ever sent in games. I always hear that, they're going to send a message by beating them. They don't send a message. You either win or you lose. And I used to run into this when I covered the Pistons. There would be some sad sack team that the Pistons would be on a road trip, 5 games in 7 days on a road trip, and then somebody like Seattle would beat the Pistons. And I always read this next, the Seattle Supersonics sent a message to the Pistons that, hey, if you ever meet in the NBA Finals, first of all, that team would never make the NBA Finals. And then, let's go back to Milwaukee. So Milwaukee beat the Pistons, or they sent a message. Then the Pistons would play, they sent a message for the playoffs. Then the Pistons in Milwaukee would play in a playoff series, and the Pistons would just jackhammer them. And I always thought, what message did you send 3 months ago?
Yeah.
You don't send messages because they're quickly forgotten. It shows that, you can compete with this team, but when teams are in playoff situations or in big game situations, the good teams rev the games up. The bad teams sometimes get, the lights are too bright for me. I can't handle this.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I do think there are some outliers, some games that do stand out. And for the Lions, I'm going right to the Cowboys game. Like, they send a message to the entire league. We're not messing around.
Well, yeah, because everybody hates the Cowboys.
Right.
and they're tired of the Cowboy America's team stuff. So yeah, in that regard, yeah, they sent a message.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Cowboys haven't been the same.
The Honolulu flu. Side note, are the Packers going to Seattle tonight with the Honolulu flu, and are they about to get destroyed?
No, of course not.
I mean,
The Honolulu flu
it's real.
it's a real thing, but here's the thing. The Honolulu flu only revs up when you're playing the Lions.
Yeah.
But then for instance,
it's the next game when the Lions. When
Oh,
you play
yeah,
the
that
Lions,
thing, yeah.
The next game you get destroyed.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Seattle's in first place. They're playing for sole possession of first place.
I have a lot of respect for Green Bay though.
Yeah.
I think that's a real good team.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how severe the case of the Honolulu flu they catch.
And Seattle may not have a running game.
I think Kenneth Walker's coming back, but
Is he?
nonetheless,
Zach Charbonnet did very good last week.
he did. He did. This game, speaking of having a big running game, we're not getting into the X's and O's, but it's a horrible matchup for the Bills on defense. They can't stop the run. They got an undersized front seven, some good players.
That's correct.
Can't stop the run. And their defense, they play a lot of nickel and dime coverage, so they have a lot of small guys out in the field at one time. That points to me like a big game for the running game. And that points a big one for St. Brown.
I'm gonna agree with you.
Like, you're playing a soft zone on the Lions. Not only are they going to pummel you up front with that offensive line in the running game, but St. Brown, Tim Patrick, J-Mo, Sam Laporta. They're going to find those seams. They don't play man-to-man. That's like the only way you can stay with these Lions receivers and the scheme that Ben Johnson is crafting up.
Playing the zone is the only way you can stop Jared Goff from running.
Jared, if you
probably
don't
scared
get
of that.
pressure on his vanilla, wait, that didn't register until you said Jared Goff from running?
Yes. I'm a fool sometimes, just to let you know.
I love it. I
Join
love
the
it.
club.
What did you think, actually, against the Packers? Remember that run where Jared Goff scrambled? It was about 10 yards, but it was 2 yards short of the first down line. And then he's like looking back. Do you think he meant to go for the first down? Or was he making a business decision like Caleb Williams should have and just, all right, I'm just going to run out of bounds here.
Easy, I'm not gonna kill myself on this play.
Okay, fair.
Because we can go for it on fourth down,
Yeah.
which we'll probably do.
Yeah. He knows it. And that was on second down, so he was going to have 2 more attempts. I'm with you. As of last night, the over-under, or the over-under was 54.5. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think you really got to consider that over. I think it could be. It's got shootout potential. I think the Bills want it to be a shootout. They want to try to get the ball back as much as possible and have it at the end of the game.
All right. Let's do some math here. What is your magic number for the Lions offense every week?
It's 32.
30. Okay, 30.
We'll call it
32.
30.
All right. The Buffalo Bills always score 30 or more points. Last time I checked, under the Broder math, that's like 62 points right there.
Yeah. Easy math, right?
Hey, you know what you should do?
Yeah.
Open your piggy bank.
Uh-huh.
Go to one of these little websites
How
and
about
make yourself
Caesar's
some money.
Caesar's
Sure,
Sportsbook.
do that.
Proud sponsor of
Proud
Woodward
sponsor.
Sports. That's right where I'll go. You actually just convinced me. Smash the over, and you'll see with my prediction
Yeah.
at the end.
Do that.
It's going to be over.
Have a little walking around money
Yeah.
for the holidays.
I wouldn't mind that.
Walking around money.
Buy some extra presents for the fam.
Get mom some pearls.
Here we go.
Mom.
Instead of the little fake stuff you usually get her.
Here we go,
She-
Broder.
she-
Hang on. I'm going to hook you up here. Hang on.
He's gonna craft
Here, watch
up
this. Here you go.
something,
Here
a
you go,
new
Broder.
nickname for
here,
me.
Here you go, Broder.
Oh, there we go. Caesar's
See-
Sportsbook. $1,000 as a bonus bet if your
Scan
bet
that
loses.
QR code.
Go use code Woodward 100. Woodward
1,000,
1,000,
baby.
Excuse me, Woodward 1,000. Go check that out. We got about 11 minutes left, Terry. Want to remind the chat, say hi, say thank you to all of you who are in here. Pete, you'll remind me what's on Facebook and Twitter. We got 727.
We are over almost at 1,100 on X right now.
1,100 on X, 730 on YouTube.
Thanks for waking up this morning.
Yes,
sir. Thanks for waking up this.
Terry coming
Thanks
with
for
the
being
heat.
alive.
Coming with the heat. Let me before we get into our game predictions in a couple minutes, I want to talk about the quarterbacks in this game, but I first want to I want this to kind of tie into the Coach of the Year conversation. And I want to ask you, before 2023, or if you decide, you can say at this point, Terry, at this very moment, if you're starting a team and you're selecting a quarterback and a wide receiver to build around, would you expect a team led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase or Goff and St. Brown to be the better team? Just thinking creatively.
I would think it would be Burrow and Jamar Chase, but that's not necessarily the thing. The thing that hurts Jared Goff is what we do with quarterbacks is we always put them at their worst. Like Jared Goff. When we think of Jared Goff, was like, okay, he's a guy that LA didn't want. He's a guy that doesn't have a really strong arm. He's a guy who can't run. But then we don't think about, and even today, when I hear fans talk about Jared Goff, they don't talk about the 8 games where he's flawless. They talk about the 1 game where he'll throw 3 picks.
Exactly.
And that's who he is.
Or
in
5.
a lot of people's. Or 5. I was trying to be nice, but yeah, or 5. But that's what they think about, because they always say, oh, that Jared Goff is going to come up again at the worst time.
That's not Jared Goff, though. We got to start taking the big sample size here. Look at wins, look at yards, look at touchdowns, look at completion percentage.
All right. Look at last season.
Yes.
The Lions finished 12-4, right? Or 12-5.
Yes.
So after every loss, this town panicked. Oh my God, they can't win this next game. And what were the Lions' record in the games after losses? 5-0. And they weren't even close games. So, but once again, I think with the Lions, we still have a large percentage of people who think this thing is going to fall apart. At some point, it's going to fall apart because the Lions, that's what they did for decades. But this is a different team. It's almost like a supercharged expansion team. This is not the Detroit Lions. This is not your mother and father's Detroit Lions.
I love that.
The attitude is different. The ownership technically is different. The Lions finally figured out, stop chasing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Create your own thing. Create your own thing that works in Detroit. That's going to work with this roster. Or build a roster that's going to equate to winning big. Here's 2 words I never heard in my, I would say, 2-3 decades in the Lions dressing room. You know what word I never heard?
What?
Super Bowl. I always heard, or championship. I always heard this.
Back.
We can win a lot of football games. And I'm like, well, shoot, everybody can. The Jets can. New England can. Obviously, they did.
Yeah.
Everybody can win football games. I'm interested, can you win a championship? If you ask that question, and people go, I don't want to talk.
You can't say that word.
They were afraid to say it. This team says the word Super Bowl. This team says the word championship. And I think this is the attitude I always wanted this team to be in. And I always felt sorry for Lion fans because, they believe in their team. I understand that. But if you have a team that doesn't believe it can win a championship, why should you?
You shouldn't.
Right.
And that's why there was no belief, there's no true belief, even in probably the fans all of these years. Brian Ruth says, Terry, T-Floss, you're the chairman of SOL.
I am.
You I don't want to say represented them, but you were able to put their message out. Like, it's just going to be the same story over and over and over again.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened with me. I go to games, talk to fans, and they're always excited about their Lions. And then, I try to boost them up, and then I would go back to Allen Park. I would go back, talk to players. I'd go back and talk to people in the front office and say, you know what? These people are clowns. They can't win. And then I have to go back to the poor Lion fans. They say, gee, what do you think this year? Can we do it? No, they can't.
Yeah.
It's flawed. I can't say that now. They're not flawed. It's the culture has changed. And the thing that I'd been hoping for decades was that the culture would change. Because if it didn't change, this team had no hope.
No hope.
Right. And I would try to do stories when I was writing for the Detroit News about the Lions culture. Every time I start my little interview, people walk away from me. They don't want to talk about it.
Because they know you'll speak the truth. You'll say the negatives. People will say negative, and I guess it is negative, but it's the truth, or it has been the truth.
But you know what? Sometimes you got to face your reality.
Yeah.
Until you can move on. The Lions faced their reality. They knew what they were. They knew what their flaws were. Sheila Hamp understood. This was the tough thing for her.
Boom.
Tough thing was for her was she had to look just in the mirror, but she had to look at her parents and say, you know what? They didn't do what they were supposed to do. That's a tough thing to do. And then she had to change the mindset. She had to change a lot of things, and then stay out the way.
Mm-hmm. That's why Rusty Shackelford in the chat didn't say that Terry that said to the chat, Sheila Hamp is the real MVP. She is the MVP of this team.
She is. She's one of them. But the thing about football, football, you can never give. Even though we give awards to individuals, you really can't say an individual is totally responsible for that award or for that success, because it's a team game, not only on the field but off the field and blah blah. You know what the Lions have done? They're players, like they call them Detroit Lions, right?
Right.
The janitor is a Detroit Lion. The secretary is a Detroit Lion. Everybody is a Detroit Lion, whether you put on the pads or not. And I think that mentality plays throughout the building, and it's another reason why this team is different.
Mm-hmm. They're different. They're the things that definitely exist, but you can't see. They're not stats. It's momentum. It's confidence, mindset, belief, love. It's all this team is. It's all Dan Campbell is, Jared Goff, Sheila Hamp. It's everything. The Lions, their actions, they embody. They embody these things, and we're seeing the tangible results. It's coming up. There's a question I want to ask you. We're going to save it for tomorrow. We'll see how this game plays out before our projections, but give me a short answer, however you want to interpret this. Does the winning quarterback in this game move into first place in the MVP race? If the Bills win, does Josh Allen have hold of first place? If the Lions win, does Jared Goff move ahead of Saquon and Josh Allen into first place with a win?
I think it's a better shot if Josh Allen wins. He would be the front runner. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand that Lamar is still in it. There's still other people from other teams in it. So these are not the only two MVP candidates.
I think Lamar's out.
I still think Jared Goff has to overcome a bunch of players to win the MVP.
Fair. I disagree, but fair.
Yeah, but because
I think it's two players. It's Josh Allen and Saquon. I think Lamar's out. He's got 5 losses. He's fantastic.
He has 5 losses, but he has 2 MVPs.
Yeah, and he's not giving it this year. Unless he has a historic end of the season. Like, I just think he's out. But
as it stands now, because of his name,
Allen,
and because of what he's done in previous years, I think he's still considered a little bit ahead of Jared Goff.
Oh, he is.
Jared Goff has to overcome that. Mm-hmm. But Josh Allen, they want to give it to him.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely do. Jared Goff beating a Buffalo Bills team that's 10-3 in first place in the AFC East, like, I think that does go a long way when you turn around and you're 13-1. If you turn around, and you're 13-1.
But here's the difference: the Lions could just say, we're not passing today. So then you're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs or Montgomery winning a game. So it doesn't have to be on Goff. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. The Bills, it has to be on Josh Allen, or else they're screwed.
Right.
They're screwed. Maybe he's the most valuable player to their team, or more valuable to the Bills than Goff is to the Lions. But nonetheless, we'll see how this shakes out. Because, of course, if Jared Goff wins and he throws 185 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, like, of course, that doesn't move the needle. But we'll see how it plays out. We got 1 minute left. Pete's going to run down Woodward to the pregame show
Yes, sir.
before we give our predictions.
Hey, Pete, be careful. Don't fall.
It's slippery out there.
It is slippery
I'm
out.
gonna slip and slide my way on down.
It's nasty. I want to remind everybody.
Pause.
First, if you enjoyed the show, if you're watching right now, hit the like button for us. That would really help us. This show, Woodward and Maine, pushes it out to everybody from 10 to 12. We got the pregame show hosted by Neil Rule, Sean Belegian. They do a fantastic job. They're going to be down at second best in Detroit on what street?
42 Watson Street.
42 Watson Street.
Randy Watson.
And eat the chicken sandwich if you go.
I hear it's
sandwich is
fantastic.
tremendous. It is.
I haven't tried it yet. They got
Tremendous.
fantastic wings. Great wings. We got a live watch
I keep
party.
telling you to do the chicken salad. Not salad,
Sandwich.
but chicken sandwich. You won't do it.
I won't do it. I haven't done it yet, but I will.
There's
You
going to be
got a hard
one.
head, man.
I'm going to
I
devour
will.
one today.
I got a big head. Live watch party after the pregame show starting about 5 minutes before game time, hosted by the Heavyweights at Hayes Social in Shelby Township. Immediately following the game, Stick and Anson, they host easily the best post-game show in the state. They take calls. It's a fun time.
And where are you going to be tomorrow at 7 a.m.?
Tomorrow at 7 a.m., I'll be right here next to Terry Foster.
We'll be right
and
back.
JB, Chase, maybe Pete will be. Who knows?
Nah.
I know you won't
I'll
be
be
here.
sleeping.
Sneaky sleeping in, man.
He is. So we got to let Pete go. Everyone, thank you for being here. Before we go, game prediction, Terry. Any last words or give me a score?
I think the Lions will defeat the Buffalo Bills 38-31. They're going to score some points.
Score some points.
And once again, hang on to your britches because it's going to be high flying and high
Take the over.
So that's 69 points.
69. So
69.
play your little game there.
hit the
play,
over.
Play the over. Hit the over. Make yourself a little money.
Head to Caesar's
Walking
Sports
around
Bet.
money.
Sports Book. Get a $1,000 free
Right.
bet. Don't give me a score, but any last words you have for this game, Pete? You'll give your prediction
I'll
on
give the
pregame
prediction
show.
on the postgame show, but take the over, my friends. Watch out for the very, very fabulous running game today. If they can shut down James Cook and just concentrate on Jared Allen, that'll make life a lot easier for Jack Campbell and the linebackers back there.
Also, Phil, I'm not a vegan. I am a meat eater,
Attaboy.
just as Lions are. I don't even know what a bill is, but Lions are about to feast. Terry, we had the same number for one of ours. Not even going to change it. 38-28 Lions win over the Bills. Still hitting the over.
In the over. Yeah, you know what? Make that bet. And you can bling out your little
Bling.
Bling, bling.
sweatshirt over there.
I love this sweatshirt. I'm nice and warm. It's cool.
Yeah,
as
bling it
shit
out,
here.
man. Put some diamond studs in it.
I've learned, Terry, the key to life, self-awareness. I would look like an idiot with diamonds. I would look like an idiot with chains. That's not me.
Well, then don't do it. then.
Yeah. I would look like.
Hey, you know what? You can get yourself a little pinky ring, though. You can do that.
That's in these. I see a lot of dudes wearing rings. I got chubby fingers.
And then get a chubby ring.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing I could do.
Right.
This is how. This is how you end a show.
So-
Everyone, thank you for being here. This was Woodward and Maine. To everyone watching on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, YouTube, or WoodwardSports.com. Let's go, baby. It's a Lions game day.
It's big.
It's big. Lions versus Bills today, 425. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Have a great Lions game day. My name's Matt Broder. This is Terry Foster for Pete Spivak. We are out.
The bad boys from the NFL are here. Your 2024 Detroit Lions are the hardest hitting, highest flying, trickiest playing, grittiest team in the NFL.
A dominant team.
Get all your coverage of your favorite team right here in your favorite network. Woodward Sports.